Hello friends, welcome back. I'm Beth, here to help you fulfill your potential in meditation. As most of you know, I don't have just one method that I teach to everybody, like one size fits all. Instead, I much prefer to teach people one-on-one, and the reason is that you're all different. So please use these videos as a guideline, and if there's anything that isn't quite working for you, anything that doesn't quite fit, then be in touch and I'll be more than happy to discuss those things with you one-on-one. Today's video is about overcoming the hindrance of aversion in meditation. In Pali, we call this Byapada, the hindrance of Byapada. Now, there are lots of different ways that aversion can manifest in our meditation. It could manifest as fear, as hatred, irritation, sadness, boredom, lots of different flavors there might be. But as I list those states, I think you might be able to get the sense that they all have the same aversive root. Now, there are different ways that we can work with aversion when it arises in the practice. Today I'm going to give some tips and hints, but I would also suggest that you look for your own solutions. And you can do that by welcoming in your investigation and your wisdom when aversion arises. See if you can find ways to untangle that aversion and bring yourself back to a content, comfortable, engaged focus on your meditation object. Now for me, when aversion arises in my meditation, my first response is always acceptance. And acceptance here isn't just one thing, it works on many levels. So when aversion arises, the first thing that we want to accept is the aversion itself. It's very easy when aversion arises to meet that aversion with more aversion, and then in that way the aversion snowballs. So for example, we might be irritated with something, and then we might be annoyed with ourselves for being irritated, and then we might judge ourselves for being annoyed. Or we might be afraid of something and then anxious because we're afraid, and then judge ourselves for being anxious. In these ways, our aversion grows bigger and bigger. So our first response should always be an acceptance of that aversion itself. We can welcome it with a huge embrace, like a great big mental hug. Aversion, welcome. Give it all of our loving kindness. And when we do that, oftentimes we notice that our aversion has a function. The function of our aversion is usually some sort of protecting function. So for example, if somebody goes to stab you in the leg and you get angry, that aversion is doing the function of protecting your leg. If somebody speaks to you harshly and you feel sad or hurt, that aversion is doing the function of protecting your tender, open heart. And so when we welcome our aversion like this and we see its function, we can also give it our thank you. Aversion, thank you. You're trying to give me some information. You're letting me know about ways that maybe I need to protect myself or meet my own needs better. Now, once we've accepted the aversion itself, our next job is to accept ourselves. We need to practice a really strong loving kindness to ourselves. I've made a different video on the practice of developing loving kindness towards ourselves, so I'll put the link to that one just underneath this so you can have a look. But the main point is that we start relating to ourselves as our own best friend. And when we do that, it might become clear of our unmet needs and the things that we need to do to make ourselves feel safe and secure. It might be that we need to make a boundary. Maybe we need to tell someone to leave us alone. Maybe we need to do something to make our physical body more comfortable. Maybe we need to go and meditate in a different place. So when we relate to ourselves as our own best friend, oftentimes we can solve many of the problems at the heart of our aversion quite easily. Now, once we've developed a really strong loving kindness towards ourselves, then we can try to bring our acceptance to the object of our aversion, to the thing that is making us feel afraid or angry or sad or whatever the flavor of aversion might be. Now, if we're not yet feeling safe and secure in ourselves, it's going to be really difficult to do that sincerely. So again, we want a strong loving kindness to ourselves first. But then maybe we can extend our acceptance to some of these things that are causing our aversion. So, maybe that irritating sound isn't so bad after all. Maybe we can let it be. Maybe we can accept it. Maybe the pain in our body is okay to be there. Maybe we can accept its presence. Maybe that really annoying person, we can let them be. Maybe we can accept them as they are. In this way, we bring our acceptance to the objects of our aversion. And in that way, our aversion can melt away. Now, if we've already tried acceptance and our aversion persists, there are a few other tricks we can try. One is to focus on the danger of aversion. Now, the obvious danger of aversion is that when we are feeling aversion, we suffer first. The Buddha gave this beautiful simile for when we are angry with someone, that it's like picking up excrement to throw at them. Now, when we pick up excrement to throw at somebody, obviously we get smelly and dirty first. Whether or not it hits them is maybe, but surely we get stinky. And aversion is the same. Whatever it is that we're experiencing aversion towards, it doesn't suffer because of our aversion, we do. And oftentimes our aversion doesn't do much to solve the problem. So by focusing on the danger of aversion in this way, oftentimes our aversion will start to subside. If that's not working and focusing on the danger of aversion isn't helping to ease what we're experiencing, then we can try focusing on impermanence. We can focus on the impermanence of the aversion itself. So, okay, this feeling in me is all the time changing. And we can also focus on the impermanence of the objects of our aversion. That sound is changing, really. It won't last forever. This pain in the body is changing. It won't last forever. That annoying person, they are also changing. They won't be there forever. In this way, some of our aversion can fall away. So there are some different tips on things that you can try to work with aversion. And as I said at the beginning, I'd also encourage you to bring in your own investigation. Try to find your own solutions. That's where you really learn and grow as a meditator. Now I would say it's time to get off of your screens, get onto the cushions and actually do the practice. There's a remainderless ending of suffering, so let's not waste time. If you're experiencing any difficulty, if anything isn't working for you, then be in touch and I'll be more than happy to discuss those things with you individually. As most of you know, I do all of my work on a donation basis, so I encourage you to support me either through Patreon or through my website. You can find the information about how to do that just underneath this video. Thank you so much for your support. Wishing you the best with your meditation.